Sorry for being so late, but this is our first YouTube live stream in our new studio here. So thank you for your patience. My name is Sim. If you have not met me before, we're sitting here in Bali at this beautiful sunset, and we are going to be talking about a beautiful topic which was requested by our community by droves, of how to build a solid financial plan when it comes to crypto itself. Now, just remember that none of this is financial advice. This is just my interpretation of how to look at this space and how I interpret it myself. So please take it from that place and always make sure you look at it yourself the right way. If you have questions, please post them into the chat in the comments there, and we'll be happy to answer those. So let's just get right into it. So when you're thinking about creating a financial plan in crypto, it's easy to focus just on crypto. The question is always, which coins do I buy? How much should I buy? When do I buy? That's having a myopic view on this whole space. And remember, life is so much bigger than crypto. That's why our YouTube channel is now going to be called Life is More Than Crypto. Money is more than crypto. You are more than crypto. So when we're thinking about creating a financial plan, first of all, if you don't have it right now, get a piece of paper and a pen. If you're a digital person, open a document that you can put this inside of, because you're going to be able to take notes along the way. Of course, you can come back and review this stuff. So the first step in that whole process of creating a plan is to first understand who the plan is for. And often that's one of the biggest pieces that's missing for people. You can't make a plan for you if you don't know you well enough, right? So you really have to start by analyzing your state. Like, what is your current state? What is your mental state? For example, are you an anxious person? Then you should have a different plan. Or are you more of a calm person that can deal with a lot of turbulence? Then you have a different plan. Are you right now in a state of turbulence where you're unsure which way life is going to go? Well, then we got to go figure out which way life is going to go first, so that you can direct the financial plan towards that kind of direction. Is it just you? Do you have kids? Do you have family? All of that defines what it is that you should do going forward. And again, there's no one plan that fits for everybody. So we're going to come from a place of helping you understand how to do this stuff. This is something that we consult people on to help them have a clearer view on themselves, and also be able to then build a plan for themselves that fulfills their needs and the direction that they want life to go towards. If you just identify what state you're in at the moment, that will then take you to the next step, which is identify your current financial situation and what you want to achieve, right? Because in simple terms, you want to get somewhere, you want to set goals to get to that place, right? So you then have to analyze your financial situation at this moment. For example, how many revenue streams do you have? How many ways are you making money? How much is coming in? How consistent is it? Is it fluctuating? Is it dependent on other factors? Are there risks to that going up or down? Then what is it that you want to achieve? Do you want to start more revenue streams? Do you want to start more businesses? Do you want to enter more spaces? Do you want to dedicate more time taking control of your financial direction? The answer to this question, one of the answers is, I want to enter crypto, right? Or I want to have a plan of how I should participate in crypto. Okay, then what is it that you want to achieve within the crypto space? And also within the financial space, and maybe within your physical space or your mental space or whatever, right? So here's a little joke. Why did the man keep staring at his bank account? Because he was trying to make sense of his finances, right? That's a pretty cheesy dad joke, but most people don't even do that. right? Most people rely on somebody else to make sense of their financial plan or make sense of their finances. And most people have actually taken their finances and given it to a financial manager who is the end all be all and knows everything, has one discussion with you maybe once a year, and then puts it into voodoo magic financial products, which you don't know what they're doing. And I'll be honest, most of them are being put somewhere where that financial manager makes the most amount of fees because you don't understand what they're actually doing. And if they give you a return, you're promised this kind of a return on a long-term basis, but we're in a different situation right now. That playbook that has played out for the last 40, 50, 60 years is not the playbook that works going forward. Even BlackRock has come out and said that that's not what's going to happen. And us taking responsibility and doing this ourselves is one of the biggest things you can do to actually prosper in the future that's going forward, right? I had this quote come up, and it's really poignant, and I might have said it before. It was like, there are no experts today because the experts today are the experts of yesterday. And today is tomorrow. We are living in the future today. AI is here, digital assets are here, the world is becoming completely turned upside down, the old ways of thinking don't work, currencies are collapsing, all those things which normally don't happen in somebody's lifetime are happening now and are going to happen over the next little while. So for you to understand that comes from a place of understanding yourself and then understanding your financial situation and having a clear understanding of that. So do this right now. Write down how many ways you make money. Then right next to that, write down how much you're making consistently on a monthly basis, overall on the year on average. Write down your goals, right? I want to put my kid in university. I want to move to Bali and have this view behind me and watch a sunset. I want to save up for my retirement. I want to protect my money. I want to grow it in a consistent manner. Whatever it is, write down those goals and write down where your finances are right now. And we're going to go through this in a much deeper manner. Okay, done. First step, complete. Before I even go further, I'll tell you a story, right? When I did this in Canada, I'm sitting there, and this was 2014, okay? Not even 2014, this was actually well before, this was like 2007 or 8 when this first story is. And I realized one of my goals is to have enough wealth so I can live in peace and I can actually achieve all of those things that I want to achieve in my life. And then when I did this analysis on myself, I realized I don't have any assets. I'm making money from one job and I'm making $700 per paycheck, which means 1,400 Canadian dollars per month. I'm living well below the poverty line, and I have just finished. I'm going into university for a communications and culture degree, a Bachelor of Arts, with a focus on science, technology, and society. And when I kind of ran that experiment through, I realized I'm going to come out and make maximum $45,000, just above the poverty line, $10,000 above the poverty line. So I realized that's not what I want. So my goal was I want to learn how to generate wealth, right? So I started by learning the game of wealth, because a quote was told to me a long time ago, and around then, and it said, wealth is like a skill. It can be learned. Everybody around you learned it. So then I started learning it. And then as I dug down deeper and deeper through the layers, it came down to this one simple thing. Okay. What we call wealth and money is value. If you learn how to add value to people's lives, and then you learn how to scale that value to adding it to many, many, many people's lives, then you get paid money for adding value to those people's lives. If you show love to people by improving their lives, they show love back to you by giving you money. That's how you become wealthy. Okay, so that, just setting down the goal of, hey, I want to have more wealth than I have before, but wealth here, wealth in my soul, wealth in my bank account, but in a way that helps the world, right? That took me to a journey of improving my skills and being able to do all that stuff. So write down your goals. Write down your goals of what you want for your life. Write down your goals, what you want for your business. Write down if there's any new businesses that you want to create. Write down just a cohesive set of goals that you would like to achieve. When you look at the ideal version of yourself 5 years down the road, what does that person have that you don't have? And those are the goals that you write down. Okay. Another thing to think about at this point is how long of a timeline are you willing to dedicate to those goals? For me, 2007 until now has taken me, 16 years? It took me 16 years. But hey, 16 years, I'm 33. That's not bad to get to the point of even feeling comfortable with achieving those goals. I have a 10, 20, 30, 40-year plan. Is it going to happen exactly that way? No, but I have a goal. I have a plan. If your plan is not minimum 3 years long, then we shouldn't even be having this discussion, right? You should be looking at least 3 years out. You should have a plan for the next 3 years, especially the next 3 years between 2023 to 2026. Oh my God, this world is going to get turned upside down as you're watching it happen. Okay. So have a longer than 3 year timeline, at least 3 years, but look out beyond that and see 5 years is a solid way of thinking. The big investors, they don't think anything less than 5 years, right? 3 years is like the shortest term that they like to look at for the things. But at least have an understanding of what kind of timeline you're thinking on. If the goal is huge, give it more time. If the goal is small, then okay, give it less time. Then now you have this list of goals, okay? And you know how much time you're willing to dedicate to them or how much time you're willing to wait for that process to play out and take actions to make it play out. Then you have to prioritize those. So then do this, okay? Look at your first goal and look at your second goal and decide which one's more important, right? If the first one's more important, then look at your first goal and your third goal and see which one's more important. And then look at your first goal and your fourth goal and see which one's more important. So basically you keep holding the most important goal and you keep comparing it to the rest of the goals. And eventually you will find that one goal where you're like, this one is the most important for me above all the other ones. Put that one on a list at number one. Then start with the second goal. Compare that to the next one. Which one's more important? Okay, second one's more important. Okay, well then second and fourth goal. Which one's more important? Well, fourth one's more important. Okay. Then fourth and third goal, which one's more important? So basically you pick your goals and you compare them against each other and you will get a hierarchy of an order of importance. You will prioritize your goals, right? And just make a list of which one is the most important and which one is the least important. Again, these are important goals, but you got to know which one is the most important and which one is the least important. It's like that parable, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And the reason you prioritize your goals is because achieving the life that you want is the elephant. Everybody's trying to do that. The reason why it doesn't get achieved is usually it's overwhelming and it's just too much. Trying to focus on everything is just overwhelming. So then what you do is you pick your first goal, right? If that's your most important goal, then you focus on that and you give that time and attention. And over time, once you achieve your first one, then you do the second one, third one, fourth one, and it goes on and on and on and on. So now that you have this internal analysis, you have your goals prioritized, you then have to think about, now you have this list of goals. Next to that, write negotiable or non-negotiable. Simple, right? Is this goal something that is absolutely non-negotiable for me? Like if this goal does not happen, I will not bend. I will not flex it. I will not just go, oh, okay, whatever. I guess that didn't happen. What are the non-negotiables in your life that you're going to make happen no matter what? Which ones are the negotiables? Which means, you could change the goal, you could flex it. If it needed to go down the list, you could kind of put it down the list. It has less importance in this hierarchy that we're looking at. So negotiable goals and non-negotiable goals. That will give you complete clarity on what are the important things. What are the ones, no matter what happens, you're going to make happen. What are the ones that you can bend and do all this stuff, right? So let's recap in this process. You started by doing an internal reflection of who you are, what state you're in, what direction you're going towards in your life, what is the future that you want to see for yourself, and what is the state that you want to achieve for yourself, right? You write down the goals that you want to have. 5 years down the road, these are the things that I want to have in my life. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to achieve. This is my timeline that I'm looking at, 3 years or longer, recommended. You prioritize them in order of importance. and you know which ones are negotiables and non-negotiables. Once you have that in place, it already gives you so much clarity, right? Usually when you do this exercise, the goals that will be the most important will be simple things. You know, I did this exercise in many ways at a retreat that I did. And you know what the most important goal for me came out to be? Workout. Second most important, see my coaches so I can achieve a higher internal state, a better internal state. Deal with my shit, right? Third most important, meditate every day and pray, right? Fourth most important was focus on the things that are aligned with my heart only. Everything else, even if they're trying to pay me a bunch of money to do, no. Say completely no to it and cancel them. So that clarity, now I live by it. I go, okay, well, so if I work out, I see my coach and deal with my shit, and I meditate and I focus on the things that are aligned with my heart, I will get to the place that I want to get to, okay? So now, the next step, after you have your goals and your internal understanding, is to create a budget. Create a budget and stick to it, right? It's easy in life, especially with these cards. We're just tapping it everywhere. You know, tappity tap, spend money, tappity tap, spend money. Then you check your account, oops, money gone, right? That's a lot of people are living life like that, especially if you're in a country where they allow you to generate credit cards and debt. Oh my God, debt is slavery. But basically what, you know, we don't have a clarity around what the money is being spent on. And, you know, you want to live a certain lifestyle, you spend all the money and you don't even know where it went, right? And then wait for the next paycheck. That's what a lot of people are living. So you have to then track, because we already know, hey, how much income is coming in from which revenue streams, which we did in the previous step. And then look at where's the money going? It's not vanishing into thin air. I'm consuming it. Where's the money going, right? So basically you create a list of all of the income sources and how much income is coming in. You create a list of all of your expenses, your known expenses that you know are things that are, you know, pretty consistent. And then you set yourself a budget for this much I can spend on, you know, restaurants, this much I can spend on this much I can spend on that. Once you've done that, it's probably going to shock you, because you're going to look at it and go, how much did I spend on shoes last month? Or how much am I spending on stuff that doesn't even matter, right? It doesn't really take me towards that goal of the version that I want to be, or I'm saying I want this, but I'm doing this. Those two things don't align. So the next step is you identify the areas where you can cut back, right? The whole point of money and all this stuff and working that hard at everything that we do is so that we can live a lifestyle, right? We want to spend time doing the things that we want to do and the lifestyle that we want to live. I'm not saying compromise the lifestyle, right? Because you've worked hard to get to that point. But there's guaranteed things that you're spending money on that are not really that necessary. And when you look at it, you'll go, okay, well, this I can cut, or this I can reduce, right? Do that. Look at the expenses that you're having, look at the things that are wasting money, and then basically cut the things that you know you can cut back on, and try to have an understanding of, okay, even if I cut back, this is how much I'm allowing myself to spend on the things that I maybe don't need, right? Then you set a budget for each category. My rent is this much, my car is this much, my house, or whatever, I'm spending this much on meals with friends, I'm spending this much on travel, whatever. You have a clarity of, this is who I am, these are the goals that I want, this is the lifestyle that I want, these are the different expenses, this is how much goes in here, this much goes in here, this much goes in here. This exercise, I know, as I'm telling you this, people are like, yeah, I know, I've heard that before. It's actually a simple process, but you need to do that process so you have an understanding of to even go through the rest of this process properly. Next note, don't buy stupid shit. You know, don't buy stupid shit. Remember, we don't own things. Things own us. Right? Like, I remember in Canada, I had an apartment full of stuff that I didn't use. I bought it, it's nice, I needed it once, whatever. And it's just a bunch of crap that I use maybe once a year. A lot of the stuff I didn't even use. I just bought it because I wanted to buy it. And when I wanted to leave Canada to come to Bali, one of my happiest days in life was when I sold all that stuff. I gave a lot of it away. I sold it for pennies on the dollar to people who needed it more than me. And then I'm sitting there one day before my flight to Bali, one-way flight, which is it's a good feeling to book a one-way flight to Bali. I'm sitting there with 2 bags two like backpacks on an air mattress with nothing in the house, and I felt free as a bird. I was literally free as a bird because I'm about to fly. And I realized at that moment that I had literally had the shackles of my stuff taken off of me. And then I came to Bali with 3 pairs of shorts and three t-shirts and three pairs of underwear. No, I had like 5 pairs of underwear, 1 pair of shoes and 1 pair of flip-flops, right? And I lived off of those and lived with that for like 6 months or 9 months. And it was great. No laundry, no nothing, no having to, if I want to move, I just pick up the stuff and I move, right? So don't buy stupid shit. You don't own it. It owns you. It's momentary pleasure. And once you stop doing that, a lot of money gets put back into your pocket. Now, here's a solid rule, right? That I learned in my studies of all this stuff. At least 30% of your income should go into investments. At least 30%. If you can make that 50%, you're crushing it. Some people have it at 75% and they live off of 25%, right? Depending on how much you earn. Okay, if you're like, Sam, that's not how it works. I can't, okay, 10%, 1%. Whatever percentage you can afford to put into investments, put it into investments. Keep it away from you because you're going to spend it, right? Welcome to the club. I'm culprit number 1 on this stuff. But if you can put 30% of your income into investments and live a good lifestyle, wow, you're really, crushing it. Now, if you're like, hey, I don't have enough, then really think about, hey, how many other ways can I add value to people's lives? Nowadays, there's kids using AI and ChatGPT to create new revenue streams, and an AI is making them money. It is the easiest today to make money that it's ever been. So, think of different ways of things that you enjoy, that you really love to do, that you would do to make somebody's life better, and then, start more revenue streams. And it might take time now. I might start learning now. It took me 16 years to get to the point where I have many revenue streams running. But if you don't do it, 16 years from now, you'll be right where you are now in the same situation, right? Or 16 years from now, you'll have multiple things running. Simply just learn, right? And this is a really good quote from Jim Rohn. He's Tony Robbins' coach, right? He's the one who made Tony Robbins. And he always says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And I loved that quote. I was selling cell phones and working at a call center. I did a bunch of jobs. I've done like 40 jobs. And he said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So I was like, okay, well, I work really hard at my job. I always do my best. And then I would come home and I would spend even more energy focused on my goals, which I've already mentioned to you. And it didn't pay off for like years and years. And then later on, I realized it was paying off. It just wasn't paying off in cash. It was giving me my freedom, and I became more skilled and more able. So teach yourself skills, increase that the revenue that you can generate. At the time, the world wasn't where it is today. Today's world is shifting so quickly that if you learn this AI stuff, you get ahead of a lot of these curves. You can get involved in things that are amazing. Now, if you're like, that's all technical, that's not the stuff I want to do. Okay, simple. What is it that you love to do so much that if I told you it's your job, you'd be like, that's not a job, that's just what I love to do, okay? Write that down and then figure out a way how to do that to improve people's lives, right? People talk and they improve people's lives. People spend time with people and hold space and improve people's lives. People walk, people do everything, and they figure out a way to get paid for the process. So at least do that. But let's go back. So recap, create a budget and stick to it, okay? Track your income, track your expenses, have a clear understanding of how much money is coming in, how much is going out. Identify the things that you can cut back, set a budget for each category, and make sure that you stick to that budget and you are responsible on that. Don't buy stupid shit, okay? Try to invest at least 30% of your income into assets, and you're already well ahead of 90% of the population, 95% of the population, because most people don't think like this. Now, here's a really important one, especially in the West. In order for you to build a solid financial plan, you have to think about your debts. You really have to think, where do I owe money? And how much is it costing me to owe that money? A 20% interest credit card that's just horrendous, right? A lot of people are like, I have a mortgage, I have a house, it's an asset. No, it's not an asset. An asset, here's the clarity between an asset and a liability. Assets make you money. Liabilities cost you money. Simple. Is your house making you money? People are like, yeah, it's going up in value, it's making me money. Well, when you sell it, it'll make you money. If you sell it higher than where you bought it, it will make you money. But it costs you in property taxes, it costs you in repairs, it costs you in interest on your mortgage payments, it costs you in so many different ways. It's actually costing you money, so it is a liability, right? So write that down. If you have a house that you have a mortgage on, you have debt. If you have a car that you're paying payments on, you have debt. Credit card, debt. Credit lines, debt. Student debt, debt. Write a list of that. What are all the debts that you have? How much are you paying for your debts, right? And then, to the other side of it, think about what are your assets? Okay, remember, assets make you money. Passively, or passive enough. Assets make you money. What are the things that are making you money other than your job, other than the time that you're converting into money? And when you do that analysis, you'll see, holy shit, the West and the world that we were raised in, if you're watching this anywhere other than Indonesia, it gets you addicted to debt. And then you just get stuck in debt forever. Indonesia, the farmers are stuck in debt. You know, farmers who produce the food, who have the wealth, is like the most important thing that we can have in society, food, are in debt because they're stuck in the same cycle as everybody else. So you have an understanding of how many liabilities you have, how many debts you have. You have an understanding of how many assets you have, how much stuff is making you money. Then think about the things you want to do, right? So like a lot of people say, I want to start this business, I want to start this project, I want to start doing this stuff going forward. Okay. Think about that as an asset or a liability, right? For example, I'll give you an example. Like somebody is, they're like, I want to start a clothing shop. I want to start a clothing shop. It's going to cost me $100,000 to set up. It's going to cost me $50,000 in inventory. It's going to cost me $50,000 in payroll in a year. Now I'm $200,000 in the hole just to get this thing going. Then at that point, you have a $200,000 debt basically in your business. Even when it starts making you money, the first $200,000 will just go toward, first $200,000 of profit will just go towards you breaking even on the business. What you're doing is you're taking a $200,000 risk, right? Whereas like some kid who's like, well, I'm starting a business where I start to do, I don't know, social media post generation through AI for people, and I put up, I don't know, on Fiverr or Upwork, I put up a thing saying I generate social media posts. It costs him $0. The post doesn't cost him anything. The AI is free. $0 of risk. The first penny he makes or she makes is going to be profit that goes to them, right? So understand the risk that you're taking with the ventures that you're going forth with, especially in this world. Especially in this world, right? Because things are changing left and right. Imagine this. 2019 to set up a clothing shop in Bali was like such a no-brainer business. So many people did it. I know those people. They set up restaurants and they set up hotels. They're like, Bali has just been blowing up. People are not going to stop going to Bali. February of 2020, that's a genius idea. March of 2020, that's literally the worst idea that you could ever have. Took 1 month. Actually took a couple days for it to completely flip on its head, and it became a liability, right? In this world, taking risks on things, especially ones that take years and years to pay out, like, people do this. They go, I'm going to buy a $300,000 house and I'm going to rent it out. It makes me money. Okay, that's not a bad idea. It's not as bad of an idea of buying a giant house and then living inside of it and paying more money for it. Okay, you got a $300,000 house. You can rent it out for $2,000 a month. Okay, that means it's going to take you 150 months. It's going to take you what? 10 years, 12 years, 13 years to pay it back just from the renters paying you back. And you're like, yeah, but it'll appreciate over time. Yeah, if everything stays the same way it is, or like everything just goes the way that it's been going for the last 40 to 60 years. And remember, the game now is different. So having those kind of strategies, you got to just understand the risk that you're taking and how much capital is generating, and is it worth it, right? I went to university. Okay, I came out of high school, went to university because parents were like, that's what you should do. Everybody was doing that at that time. This is 2007. And I went in, did a degree, did everything that the world said I was supposed to do. At the same time, I started selling cell phones and working at all these places, and I'm making like $65,000 Canadian. Good, that's good money. And at the end of the degree, I come out and I go, okay, I'm ready. I didn't even finish it. I actually quit a year ahead when I found this out. I went, how much am I going to make now that I have this certification? They went 35,000 US or Canadian dollars. And 36,000 is like poverty line or somewhere close to the poverty line. I was like, wait, what? I spend $50,000 to learn skills. And after 5 years, 4 years, well, this actually, I took 5 years. After 5 years, you're going to pay me less than I get paid talking on a phone on a call in a call center? That's idiotic. The people who went from high school, didn't even go to university, who basically failed high school with me, went out into business and started businesses. I know a few people that had, one guy had a trucking line. So he had semi-trucks, a company of semi-trucks that was running, and he was making $100,000 of profit like that, post-tax, right? So then I realized a long time ago that, I want to focus on businesses that make me money while I sleep, right? But just not from a place of debt. The debt I want to take is the time that I spend learning about stuff. The debt, I'll take the debt in time and energy and effort, but I don't want to take the debt in borrowing from banks and putting myself in $400,000 of debt to become a doctor so I can then become a slave in the system and then I can do all this stuff, okay? So you probably heard this before, but just recap. When you're thinking about your debts, you got to make a list of all your debts and the interest you're paying on it. Make a list of all the liabilities in this case. Make a list of all the assets that are actually making you money, and then you have a clear understanding of what each side is like and what your balance sheet looks like. Your assets should always be more than your liabilities, right? Think about your projects. Think about the things that you're going to be doing going forward. Understand the risks you're taking, or at least try to run a mental model of, okay, if I do this and the world changes like this, then what happens to my investment? Consider that we're going into a really fucked up situation in the world, so the less risk you take, the better. I mean, in some ways, the more risk you take, depending on who you are, right? So we're going to go into the risk side of things. And then have a clear understanding with all the previous things that we've discussed. Now, the next step is to think about, some people call it an emergency fund. I like to call it a cash cushion, right? So if you're living a certain lifestyle and you're like, this is how I want to live and I want to make sure I'm not worried about money myself, think about how much money you have left over or you have saved up or whatever came out of this analysis. You then have to ideally think about how much money do I keep so I can be comfy, so I can go focus on, learning and growing new businesses and doing all those things that I want to focus on, so I can slowly escape from just always working for the paychecks, right? If you're going paycheck to paycheck, then the first thing to do is just learn. If you're working 8 hours a day, paycheck to paycheck, then the next step is, what are you doing with the other 8 hours? Are you watching Netflix? Are you wasting time doing other stuff? Use that to teach yourself skills, and then try different businesses with the least amount of risk to be able to set things up. If you're listening to this, especially with the people that have been here for a long time, you're probably somebody who's actually done this process and got yourself to a point where you do have a cash cushion. Out of that cash cushion, a good way to think about it is, if you can, have at least 1 year's worth of runway, which means 1 year's worth of rent, 1 year's worth of food, 1 year's worth of lifestyle cost covered, plus 15% as a contingency cost, just for the unforeseeables, and save that and have that as cash, or have that invested somewhere where it's at arm's reach and you can get it out right away. That's your cash cushion, right? Some people do this by automating their savings. So if you're paycheck to paycheck, you can automate your bank account so it automatically transfers 10% into a saving account, right? Or if you're like, hey, you talk about banks going down and stuff, okay, you can have 10% and you can put it into stable coins. You can have 10%, you can put it into investments that may fit your needs, right? But 10% goes in, 20% goes in, 30% goes in. As you're earning the money, some of it gets stashed away so that you can build yourself a cash cushion in the process. That's a huge step. If you're here and you're worried about banks going down and all that stuff, remember, you save that in different banks of different sizes in different jurisdictions. You can save that in credit unions, small banks, in multiple countries. You can have it in things like Wise and Revolut with Care. Those sometimes get stuck. You can have it in stable coins, put away and stashed into your own pocket. This is where building this plan isn't just something that I can just tell you, go do this. This analysis comes out of you doing it. And if all this seems so complicated, get in touch with us. We work with people to make this process happen. Now, as you know, there's no safety There's no, like, you're probably wondering, like, what's the safe place to keep it? There is no safety in this world, in today's world. Safety was a concept that existed in a pretty stable manner for the last 60 years as the world was in that stable state, the post-World War II state, stable enough state, and we had growth, and you could rely on the banks, and you could rely on institutions, and you could rely on governments, and our grandparents and parents did that. Now it's all about, you got to figure out what the least risky place to keep your money is, right? For example, if you had your money in the banks in China, or in Russia, or in Lebanon, or Sri Lanka, Argentina, El Salvador, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Greece, Italy, the banks just took the money. Cyprus, many of these countries, the banks have already taken the money. Many of these countries, they haven't taken the money, but they won't let you take it out. Some people get stuck in Wise. They transfer their money to Wise, and then Wise gets stuck, and they ask you for documents and stuff, and they put you in the rigmarole. Some people are stuck in PayPal. There's no safe place to keep it. Some people pull it out and turn it into stable coins and put it in their own pocket, and then they lose their keys, right? So part of this process is figuring out how to spread it out and be able to control and run all of those things. And there's no safe place to keep it. All you can do is minimize risk. So if you can spread it out between these things, that'll minimize your risk the most. But you have to do it yourself, okay? So that one's a pretty quick recap. You build an emergency fund by saving some of your income that's coming in, if that's your way of doing it, or you take your cash cushion and figure out, okay, I'm coming with 6 months living costs or a 6-month runway or a year's runway plus a 15% contingency cost, and you stash that away in many different places. Some people are, if you're in a country and you're like, well, I don't know if the financial system is going to be stable, and I want to have it in case everything just melts down, then things like, having cash in the bank, cash in the safe is not a bad idea. Again, depends on your situation. For me, having a farm is like the most important to me because I have food, security, all this kind of stuff, right? Save it. You can automate it. You can just set it up so that it automatically transfers. You can save it in different banks of different sizes in different jurisdictions, credit unions, brokerages, stable coins, spread out between all of those things, stable coins custodied by you. That's a good way of building an emergency fund, okay? So now let's just recap all of the stuff we've done. We've gone through a analysis of your internal state and of you. Who are you? Have you met yourself yet? Hi, nice. You go to yourself and you go, hi, nice to meet I. Who are you? Do you know yourself well enough to know who you are? What are your goals? What are your revenue streams? What are your assets? What are your debts? What are your future outlooks? What are your timelines? What is your budget? Where's the money being spent? How do you optimize that? And you built a emergency fund or a plan for an emergency fund. Okay. Now, after all of that, you have an understanding, okay, how much money can I invest? Okay, got all my ducks in a row and placed in the right places. Now, how much money can I invest? And how do I think about that? Okay, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. Or for vegetarian, we're getting into the potatoes and potatoes, right? Everybody says invest in a diversified portfolio of assets, right? What does that even mean? What do you mean diversified portfolio of assets? What are assets? Assets are simply things that make you money, right? And why do things make money? Because things add value to people's lives. Okay, so what adds value to people's lives? Well, real estate and physically having a place is valuable to people. Food is valuable to people. Things we dig out of the ground are valuable to people. Energy is valuable to people. Stocks are valuable to people because it's companies that do this forward, right? Precious metals are valuable to people because that's just how the world has worked for a very long period of time. Crypto is apparently valuable to people, but most people can't even understand why it's valuable. And right now it doesn't add too much value to people's lives, but on a future adjusted basis, it is very valuable. Some of them, 90% of them are scams. What am I missing? That's the basic gist of it, right? So what you have to think about is like, first of all, what stuff from this list makes sense to you, right? What stuff can you understand? Some people are like, look, I understand real estate. That's my jam. I understand real estate. People are always going to need a place to live. I'm going to invest my money into real estate. Good on you, okay? In this transitionary process, people who invest in assets win out, okay? The right way. People invest in assets the right way win out. Real estate's your game. That's the only thing you understand. Great. Bonds, I'm against. Bonds are literally a bond from the government. It's a promise from the government to pay you back. And governments, without fail in history, have at some point defaulted. Here's a little scary fact that I just learned the other day. They said the bond situation we have today happened 2 times in history. It happened in 1929. 1929. And 2 years later, in 1931, the U.S. defaulted on its debt and said, we're no longer going to have the dollar tied to gold. Okay, that happens. And then it happened again in 1969. And then 2 years later, in 1971, the U.S. defaulted on its debt and said, we are no longer going to give you gold for your dollars. Okay, that's a pattern. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you're a scary human. So this time, we've had the situation now, 2023, and everything's pointing towards 2025-ish, the U.S. defaulting on its debt. Just saying, facts are facts, so I'm not about the bonds life. Stocks have been great for some period of time, and there are very specific areas in stocks that are going to blow up, but there's a vast majority of stocks, I don't want to say vast majority, a huge sectors of stocks and huge areas they're on the dying end of things. As everything digitizes, as the world moves into this future that is so, foreign to a lot of the people that come from the past, a lot of those old companies that were dominant will become the Kodaks and Blockbusters of the future, right? Where they will just, you'll go from being Nokia to being Nokia, right? You'll just be done. Okay, I like that one. Nokia to Nokia, where Apple comes in and just eats their lunch completely. So investing in stocks, yes, but with very specific care and knowledge and understanding of the company that you're buying. The problem is a lot of people have just put their money into I just put it into the S&P 500, just take 500 stocks and just stick it in there, it'll be perfectly fine. No, you should understand the value of the company that you're buying. Warren Buffett says, I buy companies and what they do for people. I don't buy the stock, right? The stock goes up and down. The value the company adds to people's lives is the real value that it adds. So stocks, investing like that is not a bad idea. Some areas, if you're like pro tip, can you just point me towards some directions? AI companies, the good ones, are going to crush it. The tech companies, the good ones, your Amazons and your Googles and the sorry to say, Facebooks and Apples, they're still going to continue forth in a pretty strong manner. In the crypto space, we'll get to the crypto side of things. So stocks, with the understanding of what stuff you're buying, very, very granular, specific purchases of stocks is a really good idea. With real estate, same thing. You can't just say real estate, right? It's like real estate in Bali is blowing up right now, blowing up. Prices are doubling all over the place. It's like it's kidney and a leg just to live in a closet here. It's like New York prices here. Whereas some parts of the US are collapsing. San Francisco fell off of a cliff, while Tampa, Florida went up. Some parts of Germany went down, some parts of Germany are still stable. So real estate in a very specific area, specific country and specific areas of that country, you can understand, is it a good bet, is it a bad bet, right? And with if you have real estate for yourself, okay, at least you have a house, you have a home, you have a roof, that's worth everything, right? Like Raul Paul always says, he's like, the single most important investment I make is my lifestyle and my kids, my family. Commodities, that's a huge one right now. We call it commodities. It's like food, it's a commodity. Everything, every single thing you're looking at, commodity. Commodity, 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 commodity. Everything is commodities. What commodities is real stuff. Real wealth, right? If you have this, and you have this, and you have this, and you have that, and you have that, and you have that, and you have that, and then you have some land to put it on, you're rich, right? So commodities, when this process happens, the world transitions from financial wealth, which is fake, woo-woo, bonds and derivatives and paper this and paper that and CDOs, all these things which are wait, what is all that? It's actually nothing. It's fugazi. It's all in the air. It's somebody made it up somewhere so that they can make a bunch of money off of it. The wealth then transitions from that paper fake wealth and it transitions into real stuff. places, cement, wood. Now the analyst is saying copper. Copper is going to blow up because we got to build the world with copper. That's why we got to the copper early. Um, everything. Real commodities are going to be the name of the game. Oil, huge commodity. Get ready for oil to go through the roof. Water, one of the biggest commodities on the planet. One of the biggest commodities on the planet. Water is now the new gold. Gold, commodity. Silver, commodity. Everything is commodity. So commodities as a sector is so underappreciated. That's why the prices of those things are just going bananas, because everybody wants real wealth because they're transitioning from dollars becoming worthless to real wealth. So commodities is a huge place to get to. And if you're in real earth elements, congratulations. That's why we built something that's based on commodities, is a registered security like a stock, and is a crypto combined together into one beautiful little cake. Now let's get into crypto. Crypto is a bunch of computers connected together that do stuff. You're either buying the computers themselves, which hopefully do stuff. You're buying an app that runs on the computers, which hopefully does something good. Or like in the case of real earth elements, you're buying basically an ability to be able to get some of the money that comes out of mines, which we know mines do stuff. And you're buying an app that's built on top of that. That's what they mean by invest in a diversified set of portfolios. So if everything I just said doesn't make sense, then figure out which parts make sense first of all, and participate in those first, and learn about them and make them make more sense first. Like with crypto, it's a space that's being developed as we go. Like when the internet came out, nobody understood the internet, and people just couldn't fathom what it was going to do to the world. That's where we are with crypto. That's where we are with AI. That's where we are with all these things. So with crypto, have a basal understanding of what it's doing, and if you can't answer the question, what does it do, and where does the money come from, do not buy it. Okay? So here's my simple diversification thesis. Okay? I was like, I can see everything is moving to digital. I'm raised in the digital age. I got the internet in 1999, and from them, everything became digital. We're doing all this digital. And going forward, for the last 8 years, I could see everything is going to go digital like crazy. It's going to go into metaverse, blah, 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 AI, digital, right? So I was like, okay, I want digital versions of things then, I want digital content. I want digital businesses. I want digital wealth in crypto. I want digital computers. I want digital coins. I want digital versions of real estate. And I don't just mean fake real estate in the metaverse. I mean tokenized real estate. I want digital mines, physical mines connected to digital. I want digital farms. I want digital, okay? And yes, you're probably thinking like, yeah, but what if they shut off the internet and power and stuff? That's where I was like, okay, on the complete flip side of that, I want a farm in the middle of the mountains where I will never have a need for anything if anything happens, right? That's my risk balance strategy. Farms, water, food, community, security, love, people who care, and digital representations of everything, because I understand the way the world is going. I have a vision of it and I can see it. My seer told me this. My psychic told me this. She was like, "You're a seer," and I was like, "Oh no, what do you mean I'm a seer?" She's like, "You're a seer in your own digital space," and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." I mean, like I can see things. She's like, "Yeah, just rely on your intuition and trust it," right? So me seeing that, I'm happy with that. And on this side, I'm happy with the farm. Okay. That was my thesis. But also in that, I was like, I'm not just going to enter one sector within the digital space. Digital real estate, digital mines, digital this, digital that, digital. I want a little bit of the computer networks. I want a little bit of financial products. I want a little bit of apps. I want businesses that are varied and hooked up into all these different places that are actually being run in the physical, but I run them digitally as digital nomads. I want them in different countries, which in case of crypto, it's not in any country, but I want whatever I can in different countries. I want different sectors within asset classes. I don't just want, just copper or just gold. I want a bit of copper, a bit of gold, a bit of silver. Now we have rubidium. We found rubidium. Apparently that's a thing to buy. Different sectors within different asset classes, like within stocks, a little bit of tech, a little bit of AI, a little bit of blah, 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 blah. That's where you have to diversify within the diversification itself. So let's just recap that. When you're talking about investing in a diversified portfolio, you have to understand all of these things. And actually, here's the most important part once you have this understanding, here's the most important part. You have to determine your risk tolerance. Okay, really slow down here. Okay? Go back to your list that you've been writing down. Write down these asset classes that made sense to you, right? And write down the ones that you want to learn about. Now, the most important thing is understand your risk tolerance, which means how much risk are you willing to tolerate, right? Which means, in English, is when you go to sleep at night, because everything is about sleeping well at night. When you go to sleep at night, if you know you could lose all of the money that you've invested, and it's the likelihood of you losing it is high, but the likelihood of you making a shit ton of money is high as well, does that help you sleep well? Does it help you sleep well knowing, hey, my money is safe, is as safe as possible with a little bit of growth? Does that help you go to sleep well? Or are you one of those people who are right in the middle where you're like, look, I want to have some safety, I want to have some possibility to grow my money a lot, but I'm happy to be in that median zone, right? So somebody who is, let's say, an anxious person who just cannot deal with the volatility of this world doing this and crypto pumping and dumping and stocks pumping and dumping and everything going crazy, and all they want to do is protect their money as best they can without worrying about growing it too much or growing it with very, a lot of care, that's a low risk person. Somebody who's like, I want to double dip, kind of have both sides, that's a medium risk person. Somebody who's like, listen, I'm willing to take massive bets on the future and go digital and all this kind of stuff, and as a backup, I have a farm, that's what you would call a high risk person. So I'm a high risk person, right? Write down on this sheet, risk tolerance, dash, write your risk tolerance. Low, medium, or high, okay? Because the problem everybody has coming into crypto is everybody always wants to get rich tomorrow. And they want to take an insane amount of risk and get really ultra wealthy tomorrow. And you know what ends up happening? They always lose their money. Almost always they lose all of their money because they're risking it. It's like walking into a casino trying to get rich and most likely you're going to get poor. When you understand your risk tolerance, right? If you're somebody who's like, I like to play it safe, I still want to enter the crypto space, then some people, what they do is they take a 10% risk on their crypto. Like let's say you have $100,000 as total net worth, they take a $10,000 risk on crypto and the rest of it's invested in safe things. Somebody who's like medium, they might take like a 30% risk on crypto. Because remember, in crypto, you don't have to take very much risk to get a lot of reward, right? When it pumps, when it goes crazy every few years, it makes, whatever, multiples and multiples of what you invested. So a medium risk person might invest 30%, but invest in kind of a varied way that we're going to look at. And if they lose it, they're not lost, they're not done. But if they make money on it, multiples on it, then it'll cover their entire net worth and make it grow, right? A high risk person is willing to take the risk to say, look, I'm willing to enter something which has the potential of insane growth, but I'm okay to be able to lose that money. So even that person might do 10%, might do 30%, depending on who you are as a person. Some people go 50. I'm like 100% into it. But it's also because I trust the fact that I made the money and I make it in the digital space. So even if that money was lost, I could just make it again and put it back in again, right? Then let's look at crypto specifically itself. Now that you know your risk percentage, here's how you look at risk within crypto, okay? So most of the cryptos don't do anything for anybody's life today. That's a fact, right? Bitcoin is supposed to be a payment method, but nobody uses it for payments. Ethereum is supposed to build apps on it that are going to be very useful for people. There's thousands of apps running on it, but they don't add very much value to most people's lives. Most of the world doesn't even know how to use it, right? So most of these things do not do anything for people today. A simple way of looking at it, and again, this is a rule of thumb, there's a lot of lemons inside of this process, but a simple way of looking at it is like the first 30 top cryptos have become in the top 30 list because they're the biggest cryptos out there, right? They have rose up the ranks of like 20,000 cryptocurrencies to get to the point where the market has said, yeah, these are worth billions of dollars to us. Some of them are worth hundreds of billions of dollars in market value today. That means somebody's put billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars into this thing of their own cash, right? They've probably done their due diligence and they've probably done some research. So the top 30 tend to be ones that are lower risk. Now, FTX was top 30 and Luna was top 30, right? So there's no golden nugget here. But the general gist is if they're at the top of the list, people have done enough due diligence for them to potentially have the ability to, change the world going forward. Those I consider low risk with an understanding of which ones are garbage. Like, for example, BNB is one of the biggest ones out there, Binance's coin. But Binance is something that's risky, therefore BNB is risky, right? The next, after 30, from 30 to about 100, usually, is something I would call medium risk, which is like, there's a 50% chance that you would lose all your money. There's a 50% chance that you make ridiculous amounts of money. And actually, no, for most beginners, there's a huge percentage chance that you'll lose all your money. But, in a risk balance perspective, they're kind of halfway. They're not at the top of the list, but they're not at the bottom of the list. From 100 down to like 20,000 or 25,000 or however many cryptos exist today, those are all insane, stupid levels of risk. Those are unnecessary levels of risk for a beginner. Absolutely, why would you touch them levels of risk? Okay, it's gambling. It's like if you understand something and you get in ahead, okay, fine. Because if the thing is going to make you 100x within the next 5 years, 10 years, then putting 1% on it would make you the entire portfolio back. Those are the kind of investments that we're looking at. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into looking at the risks of the cryptos themselves because we have a whole different talk for it. But in this, to recap, you need to determine your risk tolerance, okay? You need to understand the different types of assets that are out there. You need to understand the sectors that are within the assets, understand which ones even make sense to you, have a good view of which way the things are going in the future and how those things align with that, which asset classes you want to enter, and within those asset classes, figure out which things resonate with you. Have them in different sectors, within different asset classes, different countries, and spread it out between all of those things, okay? Now, as you're doing this stuff, you're going to discover a lot. You're going to say like, okay, I have this understanding of myself. I have this understanding of my assets and debts and my revenue streams and stuff. Then one of the biggest, best free investments you can make, it's free, seems free, but you got to put your time into it, is to educate yourself, right? Learn. Remember we said invest, we said work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So what you do is you learn, okay? If you're like, well, I want to enter crypto, but I don't understand it well enough, well then learn about crypto. That's why you're sitting here learning about it, right? Read books, read articles. And nowadays, go to the AI, ChatGPT, Google ChatGPT, log in and go, give me a description of Ethereum in simple English. Give me a description of commodities in simple English. Give me a description of this like this. Give me a future outlook of copper. Give me a future outlook of Bitcoin. Like, not future outlook because I can't really predict. But give me a description, a simplified description that I can understand so I can absorb what these things are so I can start to participate in a much better way. The books I recommend, Fourth Turning is a generational cycles book that'll help you understand the bigger generational cycles and really see where we are today, right? We are in the fourth turning, the collapse of civilization, like the collapse of whatever's been there before so that the new can be created, the start of a beautiful civilization that is going to be better in many, 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 many ways than the toxicity that we've lived in for the last 60 years, So a lot of people think like, oh, that was just a beautiful world. No, it wasn't. In many ways it wasn't. In many ways it was. So now there's another beautiful world that's coming up. Fourth Turning will really help you understand the generational cycles. Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. For me, just watch the video, the 45-minute video, Changing World Order, but read the book because it really helps you understand how these shifts happen. That'll then give you a very clear perspective. And he literally tells you this asset class does this. This does this. This is how this country goes down. This is how this country goes down. This is how this country comes up. This is how these things work. Another great talk is Zero Marginal Cost Society, also called The Third Industrial Revolution by Jeremy Rifkin. Okay, that is a great understanding for those who don't fully grasp the shift that's going on. And you're like, what do you mean this digital world, non-physical world, and he'll blow up your mind because he explains how everything's going to become free in the future, right? You'll be able to access things for free in the future. And that's the zero marginal cost society that we're moving to. And then learn about AI, right? If you're somebody who's new to AI, just watch some YouTube videos, I implore you to go into Google and type in ChatGPT, create an account and log in and start having conversations with it. Your mind will be blown. and you'll have a better understanding of the potential that this has, and you can prepare yourself better for it. If you're somebody who's like, well, okay, I got the basics, but I want to get involved in the space, you can sign up for like Skillshare. Skillshare is a website that teaches you skills in certain spaces. Go in there, type in AI. In a week, you can learn things that are cash value generating skills. And today, some of the highest paying jobs in the world are data analysts and AI people. Okay. Attend seminars and workshops. That's why you're here. That's why we do the stuff that we do. Just attend events and things that are going on that actually teach you about this space and keep you. Different people will resonate from different places, but learn from those people, right? Follow financial experts. Shameless plug, follow us. Because if you're sitting here listening, you've probably resonated with the way that we explain things, that I explain things, but we all are doing this together. It's not just me. I'm just the guy in front of the camera. But don't just follow us. Follow other people like us. We did the market analysis, and in there you can see all the experts that we follow, and I'll even show you them right now. So here's a list. Gregory Mannarino, he's crazy, but he actually explains the macro side of things very good. Heresy Financial explains macro. Steve Miller explains you stock markets. Game of Trades combines stock market analysis, macro analysis, and crypto analysis. Blockchain Backer, really good at Art, has a very crazy perspective, but he's been very right, and he does chart analysis of crypto. Benjamin Cohen has a very balanced perspective on crypto. Crypto Crew University has a lot of TA that has been right, technical analysis. Gareth Soloway, he gives such good, poignant descriptions of which way the world's going to go, and he has been right. All of these guys have been right in the last 3 years. That's why they're on this list. Paul Barron Network helps you understand gaming and the specific space. Coin Bureau helps you have very deep, clear, professional understanding of what's going on in crypto and the different things that are playing out there. And then Altcoin Daily will give you a lot of news that for me is reliable of what happens in the space. So follow all of those experts. Mark Moss is another one. Mark Moss is somebody that has given a lot of clear descriptions of what's going on behind the scenes that's making all of these things happen. So let's recap that. How do I educate myself? Whichever way it absorbs. Do books absorb? Read books. Fourth Turning, Changing World Order, Sovereign Man. If it's articles, go on YouTube articles. If you want to simplify it, go to ChatGPT, type in and get it to describe to you what these things are. It's really good at that. Attend seminars, workshops, follow financial experts. We just gave you a list. In simple terms, create a mental model of how the world works, right? As you feed in all this knowledge, and this is what I did, you will start to build a picture in your head of like, well, okay, so I agree with certain things, I don't agree with certain things. The world is moving like this, and these experts are all telling me that, from different perspectives, that this is likely to happen. So I can have a nuanced perspective on which way the world's going, and then I'm going to make my decisions from there. And again, the best thing you can do is teach yourself skills, right? I'll tell you a story. Like I went to the farm for New Year's, and I learned how to open a coconut with a hand, like a machete. And it's not as easy as it seems, but there's a technique to it, right? You hit it with the weight of the tip of the machete, it sticks in, you grab it from the back, and you use leverage to pop open a coconut. And you're doing that again and again, and you're getting the husk off. Eventually you get to the point that you have a coconut. You can open a coconut. Now imagine the world melts, whatever, and I have to go and find water. And there's a coconut, and the water's inside the coconut, and delicious coconut meat with a coconut heart is inside. A lot of people don't even know that there's a coconut heart inside of a coconut. If you're wondering what that is, open a coconut, a sprouting coconut. Now I know how to do it. I know the skill of opening a coconut in Bali. That goes a long way, right? I know the skill of building businesses. I know the skill of looking at things. I know the skill of, understanding the digital space. I taught myself hundreds and hundreds of skills and got to a point where no matter what happens in the world, I always have a skill that I can use to be able to deploy. Do the same thing, and if you're watching this, you're like, man, I'm tired. I work 8 hours a day. What do you want me to do? Spend the other 8 hours learning skills? Yeah, that's what I want you to do. I don't want you to do anything. It's your call. Do whatever you want. The solution is, if you teach yourself skills, nobody can ever take that from you. right? And if you really want to prosper in this future, teach yourself the future. Okay, so that's my recap there. We're going to get to building the actual plan itself, but these are all things that you need to understand about yourself to even get to the point of, building a plan. Because now the plan could be, well, I'm going to teach myself skills because I don't have the cash to invest in things. Some people, they realize, wait a minute, all my money is stuck in it's stuck in a house, it's stuck in like a trailer that I bought, it's stuck in a car, it's stuck in some random crap that I have. So they liquidate those things and they get their cash and then they invest it. Some people are like, I gotta figure out a different way of doing it. So, the next step is, if by now you're like, this is overwhelming and this is confusing and I want help, seek professional help. And I don't mean like a therapist. Get a therapist too. Just, therapists are nice, coaches are nice, but just seek professional help, right? There's many of us that have been doing this for a long period of time. All these people that I described to you, all of them consult people on how to build plans and work with people to make it happen. They have different price ranges and stuff. If you want our help, reach out through YouTube, through excellenceconsulting.co, and we can help you with that. If you're watching this, a lot of you have already gone through this process, so it's a refresher for you, right? As you're going through and you're building this plan, then one of the most effective things for me, and this is now the nugget that I want to teach you. Once you have this cohesive understanding of self, of your assets, of your money, of your goal, of your lifestyle, have learned enough stuff, or at least just have a clear understanding around that stuff, then it's a really good idea to draw it out, right? To actually draw it out, to have it physically, or not physically, but like you could have it physically, like you have the piece of paper and you could draw it out there, but draw it out there, right? So now the workshop starts, okay? So now you should have your list of goals, all the stuff that you've written down on a piece of paper or in a digital document. Now let's do it like this. I like to use something called Coggle.it. Okay, it's $5. You can sign up, make this, and cancel it. You can also just sign up and do it for free for 3 plans. This I've put in photos myself to make it look beautiful. Can they see this already, Led? Perfect. So this is how I like to look at my life. Let's say, well, let's just imagine. I'm not going to give you my actual financial plan, but let's just imagine I am the typical American. I'm just a typical American, right? These are my assets. These are the asset classes. Okay, so let's start by writing down the assets and liabilities and debts and everything. Okay, so property is usually the biggest one that everybody's told to go buy, right? What property do I have? Almost certainly, if you're American, I have a house. And its worth is, I don't know, $400,000. And I have a mortgage on it, so I have debt for $370,000. And there's many different ways to do this, but this is just a simplified version of doing it. Debt of $370,000. I don't have any commercial property because that's how the most average Americans live. But if you're a business owner and you have commercial property, it could be storage units, it could be businesses, it could be farmland, it could be whatever, I would put that under commercial, right? Okay, write it out. Do you own it? Which means it's an asset and you actually have it. I mean, technically, if you own it and it's not making you money, it's not an asset. But just if it's not costing you money, consider it an asset. Okay, I have a house. That's all I have. Stocks, maybe I have a retirement account. Okay, and I have $30,000 in today's market value in a retirement account. Gold, all this kind of stuff, most people don't have. Okay, but let's just say I'm somebody who is looking towards that direction and I have $5,000 of gold. Okay, well, good on you. You got $5,000 of gold. Okay. All right. Revenue streams. Well, I have a job. I have my job. It makes me $65,000 per year. Okay. Well, maybe I'm married. My wife has a job. My wife's job. Because, we're building this plan together. Her job makes $80,000 a year. She's crushing it. And that, I mean, post-tax. This isn't like, I make this much and then I pay 50% in taxes. When I was making, $65,000 a year, I was actually making like I was keeping $35,000 a year. I was paying $30,000 in taxes, right? Those are our revenue streams. That's how we make money, okay? Cash, I'm a typical American. I have, $5,000 in cash in the bank account. In which bank? I don't know. In Bank of America. Okay, cool. Crypto, I haven't even entered yet. Okay. Obviously, you also have a list of your debts, right? You could add it to something like this if it helps you visualize it. I'm focusing on assets themselves, but you could add another line and say, I owe. Let's just put it on here too. Let's say credit card. I have $30,000 of debt. $30,000 debt. Okay, because I keep spending too much. All right, I'm going to make that square just to stand out. Okay, so that's my understanding of who I am and what it is that I've written down on my list, and I've figured it all out. Okay. One of the things that a lot of people miss is you could, first of all, let's just deal with the debt. Okay. If you have a debt that's costing you way too much, some people will choose to actually take some of the income and put it into the debt and pay it off because it's costing you more just to have it. That's not a bad plan. That's definitely something you should think about. What a lot of people don't think about is I can increase these. I can do that. I can do this. I can just add more revenue streams, right? I could learn how to do those things. Just try doing something that increases. Like, there's I know a book writer, right? She writes beautiful, amazing books and she storytells. Isn't it beautiful having the sun go down in the background and stuff? I'm really looking forward to seeing this video as like the sun sets and it's a beautiful ending of the story, right? But she writes books, beautiful stories, beautiful books, and she writes like whole books, and that's what she loves to do, and that's her jam. And she came to me and she was like, well, I was like, how many revenue streams do you have? She said, I have one, and I write books. And I was like, okay, can you make more? She's like, no, like I don't want to go learn things, and like I'm not a digital person and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, can't you, like, you can also, if you're writing books, you can also write short stories. That's like books, right? Short stories. She's like, yeah, I've kind of tried that. I was like, okay, well, here's a website you can sign up and just say, I write short stories. And it's free for you to do. If somebody signs up and pays you, $2,000, you can write a short story. If they don't, they don't. And you love writing short stories. Oh, wow, that's great. Boom, short stories. Let's say my job is I'm a writer, right? And I make 65 grand. Well, I could just then start up short stories. And I don't know how much it's going to make, but hey, I set that down as a goal. And then I was like, hey, do you know that a lot of people need articles written? It's short stories, articles, it's pretty much the same. Is that your jam? Is that what you love to do? She said, yeah, I do love to do that. And I was like, boom, here's a website, Fiverr or Upwork, and now you're going to write articles. Great. And this conversation I had like, months and months back, like about a year back. Today, I would tell her to do this. I'd say, go here, Chat GPT, okay? Go into Chat GPT, log in. This page isn't working, okay? That demo failed. But I would go into Chat GPT and I would say, write a story about blah, 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 blah. Write an article about how crypto could potentially be the future, but there are many risks involved in that. Click a button, it is written. You take it, you adjust it, modify it, make it your own voice, send it out. You could write articles and short stories. I could write 100 short stories. I can literally ask it, write me 100 short stories, and it will write me 100 short stories and it'll take me maybe an hour, okay? And I have revenue streams that I'm doing. There's literally kids that they just put up a post saying, I do SEO, I do social media posts, I do marketing, I do branding, and they just put all of them up. And whatever comes in, Somebody's paying them $200 to write this like social media post. Go in, ask for a social media post, adjust it a little bit, and send it through, right? So you don't have to go too far from what you're already doing to start generating more revenue streams. The point is, increase the number of ways that you can increase your cash flow. Because one, if you lose your job, if in this case I lose my job, I don't have to just depend on my wife's job, because that puts a lot of stress on a family, and often those kind of things ruin families. And family is the most important thing for me in this environment, right? Having more revenue streams gives me more security. It reduces my risk of me being, caught up in something. It also reduces the risk of an AI taking my job, because I'm the one using it, right? Regardless, increase the number of revenue streams that you have, okay? Okay, let's say we've done that. Boom. Now there's multiple different ways of more money coming in. Now I have more money to be able to pay off my debts. Fantastic. Then in this plan, I look at this and I go, you know what? You're so right, man. I bought this house and I have $400,000 owed on it, and I'm paying, I'm paying $3,000 a month because I live in a ridiculously expensive place. I'm paying $3,000 a month every month for my house. You can do this on a piece of paper or however this works for you. And again, there's millions of different ways to draw this, but this gives you a visual understanding of like $3,000 of rent on that house, and I owe such a big debt, it doesn't even make sense to me. And I bought it for $350,000. Now it's $50,000 above. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my $50,000 of money and go rent a place and cut down. Instead of paying $3,000, I'm going to go to a place that's $1,000 because me and my wife can deal with it. And I'm going to take that $50,000 and invest it somewhere, right? Okay, instead of me spending $3,000 here, then now I'm going to sell that house and not just put $50,000 into crypto, although some people do that, right? I'm going to put $50,000 into my bank account and actually have cash flow. Okay, wow. Okay, wow, man, it feels good to have $50,000 liquid and be paying less per month on rent, so I keep more of the money that I'm earning. This all sounds nice. All right, now I have $55,000. Now I have more firepower. Plus, I'm making more money from this side. Okay, now I'm comfortable. Okay, some of this I'm going to put into a cash cushion. Okay, now it costs me $1,000 a month to live for rent. It's, another, let's say $1,000 a month for me to spend on food and groceries and, fuel and cars and stuff. And then I want another $1,000 just for living, enjoying life. Okay, I'm spending $3,000 a month. Over 12 months, that's going to be $36,000. So I'm going to take $36,000 plus a 15% contingency cost, whatever that number is. Let's say $40,000, okay, just for time's sake. $40,000 is going to be my cash cushion. All right, and I'm spreading that out into 30% stable coins. I like USDC, okay, and then I'm putting 30% into brokerage. So I can also have it ready to invest for stocks if I want, if I feel like it, and I feel like there's enough cash flow coming in from my revenue streams. And then I'm putting 40% in 3 banks, credit unions, banks, whatever, you get the idea. Okay, now I have a cash cushion. I have cash available in case I want to put it into crypto. And I have, cash available if I want to put it into stocks. I have money in different banks that's secured and I can still use it. Well, wait, so I still have $15,000 left. Well, this is nice, man. I have $15,000 left today, and I have my debts being paid off, and I have more revenue streams coming in. Okay, you know what? I think that's what I want to put into crypto. That's comfy. I have a year's worth of living cost. I have a nice cushion, so my family is never worried about money. I've reduced my expenses. I'm going to put $15,000 into crypto. If I lost that $15,000, it wouldn't ruin me. I already have more ways of making money. Cool. $15,000 in crypto. Okay, there's more. It's, I want to put more in there, but oh wait. So wait a minute. So now I have 15 in crypto, 40 in a cash cushion. I have, at least 145 coming in. I'll pay that $30,000 off in no time. I got 5,000 in gold. Makes me feel comfortable. And I have 30,000 in retirement just for me. Plus my wife has, 20,000 in retirement. Or 50,000 in retirement. Okay. Okay, see, now I'm balanced. I'm balanced between this. That I can feel comfortable with. As more cash comes in, then I have a plan. This much goes towards paying off my credit card. This much goes to, I have a cash cushion, so I don't need to keep doing it. This much goes towards me living. Okay. This much goes towards, I'm going to keep adding a little bit more in crypto. And then once I've actually, had this plan for a few years, and my retirement will keep getting added to once I've done this for a few years. And at the same time, I've just been, oh, you told me articles, man, I started doing social media posts or whatever. I'm a healer and I heal, and I just created a new package. I started doing retreats. I started doing, whatever. I started doing events. All you have to do is go into YouTube and go, I am a this, and I want, new business ideas for this. Like every single day, there's literally kids explaining this stuff, how to do it. But I started new revenue streams. I have my financial plan, and it's visually laid out. So whenever I need, I can come back and I can actually see what stuff is going on between the stuff, right? Now, here's another pro tip when you're looking at all of these things, right? Okay. Right now, my wife, who works a corporate job, and I am a writer, okay? We're spending all of our time just making this much money, and adding these things is taking up more of our time, okay? Well, I have a limit for how much time I have and how much both of us can convert into money, right? Well, when I think about it, what takes me the most amount of money, most amount of time, or a lot of time, is like market research, or like I'm writing a short story, or writing a book, and I just have to sit there and I have to like gather knowledge, and maybe I write, whatever, nonfiction books, and I have to, go and find all these resources, or, I'm a salesman and I have to call people and I have to book meetings. I don't know, whatever you're doing, you'll find that when you actually make money is like when I actually write the book. The rest of it is just me getting to the point of writing a book. My wife is working a job and she's taking care of the household, and she works basically 2 jobs in that process, and she comes home, she cleans and she cooks, and I help her cook, and both of us are spending time cleaning and cooking and vacuuming and doing laundry. Okay, well, if I'm spending most of my time booking meetings, or I'm spending most of my time doing research for things, how can I optimize that time, right? If I have to write a book, well, you told me there's an AI, so you tell me I can just go ask the AI to do all my research for me, and in a second it will pop out a consolidated format of my research. That saves me a lot of time. Great. I'm going to optimize that time so I can get to writing more books. Great. My wife is spending all this time. Both of us are spending all this time cleaning and cooking all this stuff. Well, we're going to get somebody to help us, right? It's like we already make this much money. That's a good amount of money. If we hire somebody and we just get somebody to come in for, I don't know, $30 an hour, which is really expensive, but like $30 an hour to come in, and we got help for like an hour or 2 a day, cooking and cleaning and doing laundry and just doing stuff, that, whatever, $60 a day would actually, so that's like what, $1,800 in a day, in a month, that would free up our time so I can write more books. I can write more short stories. I can write more articles. Combine that with the AI, and now the amount of time it takes me to write a book is nothing. Now my wife has her time freed up, okay? She's doing a lot of stuff. She can do a better job at her job, and now she has more time. So now we can actually spend time together. We can have quality time, which is really important to us. It's improving our relationship. Wow, that'll take you a long way. Or we spend, half the time improving our relationship, enjoying, laughing, doing what we love to do. And then we spend the other time learning about all these things. She loves AI. She loves all these things. Or she wants to learn a new modality of healing. She wants to learn sound healing. She loves sound healing. Okay, great. She's learning sound healing. Or we've been thinking of making this business or creating YouTube videos. It frees up your time. You basically optimize your time. If you're spending all this time booking meetings and just running the admin of your life, get somebody else to do that for cheaper, optimize your time, and increase how much revenue you're able to generate because you are now freer to do it. And a lot of times it's not just about the revenue, it's about the lifestyle. It's what you do with your time, right? And if you take care of you, and for me, if I take care of me and I take care of my wife and she takes care of me and we take care of each other, we will get through everything. As a matter of fact, we will have that much more energy to deploy into all this kind of stuff. So think about all the things that you're doing that waste time. I remember in Canada, oh my God. I was here, right? We're in Bali. So somebody does my laundry for me, somebody cleans, It's just like the standard here. Nobody here does laundry. You know, it's very cheap to get your laundry done. And I'm in this place, they have cleaners, they come clean the place. No vacuuming, no nothing. Somebody makes my bed for me. And it's just part of the lifestyle. And I remember how much time I used to spend cooking, cleaning, and doing laundry in Canada. No wonder I couldn't get anything done. So that's another pro tip. This one's really rough, but it's like, or tough. Think about which country and society you're living in. I was making $65,000 a year on paper, and I was making $35,000 take home, and I was barely breaking even with, credit card debt. So I decided I'm just gonna move. I'm gonna move. Like I started making this much. What was I doing? Selling cell phones? Okay, I can go sell cell phones wherever. As a matter of fact, I'm just a guy selling cell phones because there's a million people who are at my skill level. Here, I came to Bali, and here, like I have so many skills which normally aren't in this country, and it's a developing country, and the cost of living is so much lower. Cost of food is lower, cost of labor is lower, cost of living is lower. If you don't live in like this area, which is like it's a kidney and another kidney for you to live in. But I moved to another country, reduced my costs, got my time back again, increased my quality of life. I get to enjoy these beautiful sunsets, which gave me the energy. And now, I'm choosing to live here in an expensive place because it saves the time for the people that are coming to me to work with me, which actually makes me more money by spending more money, by having the people who do all of this kind of stuff. I optimize those things, optimize my lifestyle. Was it hard decisions? Yes. Did it feel fantastic leaving Canada, leaving minus 30 degrees to go to Bali? Absolutely. Absolutely. And did it give me a lesson of how capable I am of taking care of myself no matter where I go? Absolutely. It caused a lot of growth, but it came from learning all of these things and going through all of this growth and learning skills and all those kind of things. Now that you have this laid out, now you should have a clear understanding of what it is that you need to do. Right? Now I'm like, okay, I know who I am. I know what I want in life. I know how long I'm willing to work for it. I know what skills I'm willing to learn. I know which ones I want to learn. I know which ones I don't want to learn. I've optimized, at least I have a clear understanding of what I want. I know I got to learn about crypto. I got to learn about how to sell a house. I'm still unsure about that, but at least that's an idea that's there that would really help make me feel comfortable in the process. I think I'm going to make the shift and move from Calgary to Vancouver. And I can see a lot of these things would be optimized in that. I'm going to move from Calgary to Bali and go there and set up shop and do all this kind of stuff. Or I'm going to just simply optimize where I am and what I'm doing, right? Then here's the process. Write down a task list. Okay, so this is the plan that we're looking at, right? Here's my task list. And you can just do it on here. You can do it on a piece of paper. You can do it on a note, wherever that is. Asana, if you're somebody who's like super anal about like tasks and hitting the stuff, an app like Asana changes your life, right? Asana is an app where you can set tasks for yourself with subtasks and literally mark down, and as you do things, you can mark them off. But I'm not going to go there because most people don't live like that. But you can make a list. You've done all this work to get to this point. Okay, I'm going to make a list. Okay, what do I need to do? 1, learn about articles, because I got to write articles. Articles. How to write articles. Man, you said the AI thing, learn about AI. And if you're like, Sim, you keep pushing the AI thing, this is a demo. Yeah, it's because AI is going to change the world. Learn about the things that are going to change the world. And it will make your life so much simpler, no matter who you are. Trust me, it blows people's minds. Okay? 3, I got to learn about crypto. Learn about Bitcoin. All right? Okay, here's the easier way the sharper way to define it. Learn about articles. Learn about writing articles. Articles by February 2020. You could get very specific with it. You can make smart goals and stuff, but I'm just going to make it like most people would make it, so it doesn't scare the shit out of you. Learn about AI by watching 2 YouTube videos an evening. Okay? Simple. Learn about Bitcoin by taking a course. I don't know. Right? So you're making yourself a task list that clearly defines this plan, but a step-by-step task list that will help you achieve that. 4, contact a real estate agent to sell the house. Right? Now I've figured out a way to figure out my revenue streams. Great. I figured out learning about AI because that'll help me with this stuff. And this guy just won't shut the hell up about AI, so I'll go ahead and learn about it. I'm gonna learn about Bitcoin because that's something that's interested in me. And the real estate agent, I feel like, I'm gonna sleep on it. I'm gonna discuss it with my wife, who will really figure out the plan. But I think this might be something that we're thinking about, especially because now the real estate market's starting to fall off of a cliff where we are. Okay, so which one's the most important? Is it more important to learn about writing articles, or is it more important to learning about AI? Okay, well, I think the articles is more important because I'm a writer. To learn how to write articles, just the AI thing scares me still. So okay, write articles is more important. Okay, is it more important for me to learn how to write articles, or is it more important to learn about Bitcoin by taking a course? Well, I want to make money first. Articles. Is it more important to learn about articles, or is it more important to contact a real estate agent to sell the house? Well, I don't want to sell the house right now. Let me just focus on the articles. Okay, I'm gonna learn about writing articles. Well, great. I know which bite I need to take out of this elephant. I know I want to move my life towards a certain direction. And apparently the single most important thing that I can do right now is I can learn how to just switch to writing more articles. Okay, great. Is it more important to learn about AI, or is it more important to learn about Bitcoin? Well, I'm scared of AI. Bitcoin more important. Is Bitcoin more important, or is real estate agent more important? I'll just learn about Bitcoin. Okay, because I don't want to think about selling the house. Great. Then the second most important thing I'm going to do is learn about Bitcoin by taking a course. And that will give you, and then all you do is you simply just focus on the very first thing. Let's not complicate things. This is scary. This is overwhelming. Well, wait a minute. It's not overwhelming to learn about writing articles by February, end of February. Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna learn about writing articles. Okay, how should I learn about writing articles? Oh, okay. Well, let me just think. I could break that up into chunks. I could watch YouTube videos. I could read books. I could ask somebody. I could hire a consultant. I could do something. Okay, well, you know what? The simplest way forward for me is watching YouTube videos. I love YouTube videos. Everybody's teaching that stuff. Okay, then I'm just going to watch YouTube videos about writing articles. That's it. I have the rest of the plan. I'm going to put it away, think about it, process it, but I'm just going to learn how to write the articles. I'll take that one step. Then this amazing thing happens, right? The universe hears you and it goes, thank you, my love, for taking a step. You took one step towards articles and I shall take 1,000. If your heart in the right place, if your heart is in the right place, I shall take 1,000. I will send you an article writer. As a matter of fact, I'll populate this video on YouTube, which will be like how to, write 1,000 articles in an hour. And you'll be like, no way. And you go watch it and you're like, wow, these are amazing. Oh, they're using AI. Shit, I got to go back and learn about AI. Sorry. But the point is, it'll take 1,000 steps for you, and then you have a clear understanding of who you are that's based on the risks that you're willing to take, understanding the things that what you're participating in. So now let's recap that. Okay? You have your lists of your self-analysis, your assets, your liabilities, your expenses, what are your goals, what is the direction you want to move towards, what do you feel comfortable with, what revenue streams you have, what extra stuff that you can add. You create a chart out of all of that, right? Like the one that we're looking at. You create some kind of visual out of all of that, lay it out, connect it all together in a way that makes sense to you, and then review it. You might build it now and then you come back in a week and you're like, well, it was crazy. I thought I was going to sell the house. I don't want to sell this house, man. I like a house. I just want stability. I want stability. I'm not moving into Bali right now. Review it in a week, review it in a month, review it in a year, update it regularly. You have an understanding of which pieces you're investing into. You have a task list that you create of what stuff needs to be done for you to achieve the goals, organize those, prioritize those. And now you have a solid financial plan that you built, right? Not handed it to somebody else and hope to God they do it correctly. Once you have this clear understanding of who you are, and then if you're like, hey, I read the books, I read the things, I have all this knowledge, I have this mental model, I know who I am, I know what I should do, I know what the steps are. The empowerment that you feel in that process is ridiculous, because now you know, okay, I've taken every single step I possibly could, and done the analysis on my own, and got the help that I need, and I have the support to move forward in this whole process. And this is why what I do has been so powerful for people, right? It's because I've done this I did this for myself. I literally built it for myself. Then I did it for my friends. Then I did it for people around me. And I never wanted to do any of this. I came here to retire, okay? And I'll tell you my actual story. Here's how it happened, okay? I'm in Calgary, 2007. My dad left me there when I was 15. It just disappeared, okay? And by 16, my stepmom put me into university and was like, look, you're on your own. Hopefully you can take care of yourself. I got some jobs. And I was like, I don't want to live like this. I want to figure out what is going on. And I'd been on that journey for a bit. And I realized if I just learn skills, I will get more valuable to be able to add more value to people's lives. I kept learning those skills along the way, kept working jobs, and then spent every hour I could of my life, including weekends and Christmas and every single time, no birthdays, no weekends, no nothing. Just spent every moment I could learning about the world. And all of it seemed like it was not working. I did that, and I smoked weed, okay, in Canada, medically. I was a medical patient. I was a medical patient, and I smoked weed since I was 13, right? And I kept trying different businesses and they wouldn't work, and I would like try to do video editing and it doesn't work. Audio editing doesn't work. SEO, I would try all these things. I'd be like, that's not me, that doesn't work, I don't like this, whatever. Tried 1,000 different things. But dedicated my heart to everything that I did. And then at work, I would always just go above and beyond. If they asked me to do something, I would do it way better than they expected it to do it. And I would give more, right? So I just learned how to give more to life itself. Then 2018, Canada legalizes weed, and I become a weed expert overnight. I became a national weed expert, cannabis expert, because I had studied it. I understood all the neurobiology. I understood all the neurochemical processes, the growing processes, the microbiota of the soil. I was just ingrained in it just because I loved it. I became a cannabis expert overnight, built a cannabis company, and apparently now, everybody's telling me I'm successful. They're like, wow, this is insane. Weed makes a lot of money. It's legal. You're one of the few experts in Canada. You are crushing it. And I'm looking at my life, and I did this analysis, and I was like, I do not want to live in minus 30-degree weather. But if I leave, I'm leaving this giant business that is going to be insanely successful, and so much money is going to be made. So now I have to choose lifestyle or money. And I know which. I knew myself clearly. I was like, I know the choice that I always make. I will run into the abyss and choose my lifestyle and living on my own means. And if I don't want to live in minus 30, I don't want to live in minus 30. I will live I decided when I was 15, I'm going to live on a beach next to the ocean, period, end of conversation. So I left everything, sold everything, moved here, have no idea what I'm going to do, did this analysis for I did 5 years of research because I always wanted to move. But before I came, I did this analysis and came with a list of 100 revenue streams. It was close to 100 revenue streams that I could do without anything. I don't need a computer. I don't need anything, right? Here's the thing. I could teach English. I could teach English. I could teach Hindi. India is huge. I could teach Hindi on the internet. I could write a post. I could just do a million things, right? Came here with 100 different ways of how I could add value to people's lives, and then just grew from there, and just figured out ways of how I could improve people's lives and what aligns with my heart. And then slowly, all of those things that I had done and I had failed at, that I thought I'd failed at, became the skills that I now use. Making videos, audio, my phone calls, and in the middle of that, build a visual business plan for them, explaining to them how Wi-Fi works and how, as an electronics engineer, I could understand Wi-Fi better than they were explaining it, and how that would add value to the business. And I took that visual and the whole business plan and I handed it to them, and I went, I think you guys are explaining this wrong, and I think you could explain it better, and it would save the company millions of dollars. Well, no. And then I took it to my boss, and she was like, okay, I'll try to do something with it. Nothing happened. That made this, because he's 100% right, and this makes so much sense. And I had only been at that company for 9 months, and she was like, as a matter of fact, this guy is going to train all of the managers on this, because I know the value that this can add. And then I sat down, I trained all my managers after 9 months, and they were shocked. And they were like, now we're gonna take you from being a beginner to going right to the training team. You get paid way more money to do better work that you get to do, just because I was giving more than expected, right? So hopefully there's a lot of lessons in there for you. That's it. It's understanding yourself, it's understanding your situation, it's having clarity around which direction you want to go towards, minimizing your costs, building a visual plan of that. I really like visual things. Structuring it in a way where you see your capital flowing. You see, here's how much money I want to move here, or here's how I'm able to generate more things. Creating a step-by-step plan out of that, and then just picking the very first thing on your plan and just doing that first thing. Don't focus on all of this stuff. Now you've done all this hard work. Do the first thing. Make it simple. Once you start doing that consistently, great. Eat the next piece of the elephant. And years down the road, you will have eaten a whole elephant. Okay? So now, I'll close off on just talking about crypto. People don't understand, very few people understand, that crypto hasn't even started yet. What we call crypto today is like, internet back when we barely had websites. Barely had websites. The A with the circle around it is what people call the internet. People thought AOL was internet at that point, in the US at least. The use cases of these things are going to develop in the next 8 years. If you start learning now and you spend, 2 weeks on it, you will be smarter than 99.3% of the world's population, at least. Because 99.3% of the world's population doesn't even know what it is properly, right? That puts you ahead in the curve already. But here's a simple way of looking at it. If everything is going to go digital, everything is going to need to be represented on computers. As that happens, you just have to catch one. You just have to catch one, not 100. You don't have to diversify into 1,000 different cryptos and complicate your life. Even within crypto itself, I could say $15,000 coming in. I'm a medium risk person. I'm going to go $5,000 into Bitcoin. I'm going to go $5,000 into ETH. And this guy won't shut up about XRP. So you know what? I did my research. I think financial makes a lot of sense. Okay, so here I have, in my understanding, $5,000 in what I guess is digital gold. That's cool. I like gold. Okay, that you can't replicate. $5,000 into a computer system that people can program. So it's like the internet. I think I can kind of understand that. And then I'm going to put $5,000 into this like financial product that's being run by all the elites of the elites who actually control all the money in the world. Okay, I'm comfy with that. If you're saying, top 30 at the lowest risk, I'm just going to pick the top 3 and spread it out between those. Okay, I'm happy with that. My timeline is 3 to 5 years minimum. That keeps me at the lowest end of the risk range, and I'm comfy. Even though I'm medium risk, I'm comfy with that, right? Or somebody might be like, well, I'm gonna have 7. So I put a third into the box. I recommend having more than 7. Okay, 7 is already too much, but if you want to diversify enough, okay, 7's good. But because the human mind has a hard time keeping track of more than 7 things. Somebody might be like, look, I believe a little bit more in Bitcoin, so I'm going to put 20% into Bitcoin, and then I have 80% left, and I have 6 cryptos left. I'm going to go 20, 20, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, whatever. Just simplify the whole process and put that much into there, right? That's it. And we'll go more into detail. When it's time to enter the markets, we'll actually do a full one where we specifically focus on the crypto markets. And by that time, we'll have more clarity around which sectors are going to blow up in this whole space. So now, thank you for watching this. And if you're this far, please subscribe. 51% of the people who are watching this are not subscribed. So please, right now, I'm talking to you. I know I love you. It's nice to see you again. But can you please go down and click the subscribe button? Because that is, and there's a little bell next to it. Hit that if you want to get annoyed by us. But hit the subscribe button, because that will make sure that you always get this content, so we don't have to, people don't miss the feeds and stuff. And we'll take some questions if there's any questions from in the.
Yeah. Apart from the forced turning, what resources you recommend as to educate yourself and educate yourself about crypto?
Educate yourself about crypto?
Yeah, and about other like revenue streams, all the books and resources that help you to.
My favorite, honestly, the way I learn is visual. And I like compressed knowledge, right? So books are not my jam. I read the books that I read specifically because they give very detailed information. I like YouTube. You just go into YouTube. How to make money as a writer. Revenue streams. How the history of the world. History of money. History of financial collapses. History of China. Just the more you can learn about the things that you're interested in, for me, YouTube is the easiest, because usually within an hour I get way more information. I'll tell you this. I went to electronics engineering school, and they took a year to explain to me how computers work, and I barely understood it, and it was not a pleasant experience. It was like school. I watched one YouTube video for 45 minutes, and it gave me a way more thorough understanding, because now I have a mental model of exactly how the thing runs, and I have a visual model of it. So YouTube is my absolute favorite for just starting to scratch the surface and have a deep enough understanding that you can listen to 10, 20 different experts within a week and have a clear understanding around stuff. The list of experts that we've already mentioned, those are experts that I would follow myself. I'll say it again. We have Mark Moss, who will give you the history of the world and finances. Heresy Financial will teach you a lot of good stuff. For crypto itself specifically, Blockchain Backer, Game of Trades, Garrett Soloway, Benjamin Cohen, Crypto Crew University, Paul Barron Network, Coin Bureau, and Altcoin Daily. Those are the ones to follow for learning about stuff. And once you subscribe, go down their video list, and there'll be random topics that you'll really resonate with. Or you just search, I want to learn about the history. What does the future of crypto look like? Bam. What does the future of AI look like? Bam. What does the future of metaverse look like? Bam. What does the future look like? If you want to learn actual skills that you can monetize, Skillshare. Skillshare is fantastic. Udemy is fantastic. You can buy courses. Skillshare is one-time subscription, one month or a year or something, and you get to learn all these skills from the experts in the space. Everything from coding. I'm learning Python coding right now. Everything from coding to AI to whatever skills you want to learn is actual monetizable skills. He has courses around that. And there's just so many of these education platforms that give you legit education that you can turn around and monetize. So that's how I like to learn. Here's a pro tip on books. Okay, I'll give you the pro tip on books. It's called Blinkist. Blinkist. It's an app. You download it. There's a yearly subscription that you pay for it. Best like $100 that you're and best ever. It takes non-fiction books and compresses them down to 15 minutes. And it turns into an audiobook, and you can read it. So what I would do, and I did this for a long time, is I would just make a list of all the books I want to learn about, Fourth Turning, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Influence People and Win Friends, all like just, or like, inner work books, Taoism books, relationship books, healing books, mental state, meditation. I made a whole list, and I was just hitting play, and within 15 minutes, it would deliver the book into my head. I would just listen to the playlist, then I would go back and listen to it again, and I would go back and listen to it again. By the third time I've heard the book, especially in this condensed manner, it absorbs in my head, and then I would just grow from there. So within 15 minutes, you can deliver books into your head. I think like those kind of formats get you enough of a base that then you can actually go do something about it. Because learning is useless unless you do something about it, right? So all of these like Bitcoin Standard, Bitcoin for Dummies, the Changing World Order, all of these books are on there, and you can actually absorb it much quicker and then repeat it to yourself until you understand. So that's how I like to learn. Those are the resources that I would say are. Any other questions?
Not really. So far, so good.
Amazing. So, thank you for making it this far. This is going to be the new format. YouTube is going to be our main place to find us. If this added value to your life, all I would appreciate is please share this out. If you need help, reach out to us, excellenceconsulting.co, or just learn more about all this stuff. Follow us, and hopefully we'll see you again. And isn't it beautiful? Look at that. The sun went down, and now it's totally dark. It's such a good vibe, right? It starts sunny, and then as the conversation unfolds and shuts down, a beautiful day comes to an end. And this is all it is. It's how we spend our moments. It's how we spend our days that determines our future. This is an important thing I want to close off on. People think the past creates the present, and it does not. The present creates the past, and the present creates the future. And this isn't some woo-woo stuff. What you do today is the thing that will create the past that you will experience tomorrow, right? And what you did in the present, in the past times, is what created that entire past. And often we are beholden to our past because we think our past is what's creating. The past is technically creating the situation today, but it's the present that has the control. That's the only thing we can control. It's what we do today that will create the past. But it's also what we do today that then creates the future. Because like I said, you take one step, the universe takes 100. If you take steps in the right direction, like doing this kind of stuff and taking control of your own destiny, then the universe responds by creating a future that's better and better. And then that future becomes the present, and you take the right steps, and that creates this beautiful past. The present is like the bow of a ship, right? It's the bow of the ship, and you are the ship. We are the ship. It's the bow of the ship that creates the wake behind the ship, which is the past, right? And it's where the bow of the ship is aimed that creates the future of where that ship will end up. So that beautiful point is what I want to close off on. Thank you so much. It's been beautiful. We're going to enjoy the rest of this night.